What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Just today, going to do a little Mitch Trubisky film room. He's going to get the start Thursday Night Football against the Pats. One of the good things is, we have a little bit of film to look back on. Mitch made a start last year against the Patriots. So we have a little bit to kind of comb through to see what he did well, what he didn't do well, kind of get a good look at how the Patriots chose to defend him and the Steelers offense. So there's some different names on both sides of the ball, but obviously a lot of returning players, a lot of familiarity between these two teams. So I wanted to kind of jump in the film room just to see for myself, but also to share with you guys kind of some of the things that I saw on film. We'll also talk a little bit about kind of what Mitch brings, what kind of separates him from Pickett, some of their differences, similarities, all those things, and what to expect just kind of Thursday and moving forward, because it sounds like he's going to be the starter at least for another 3-4 weeks. So just before we get started, y'all know the drill. Please make sure that you like the video, subscribe to the channel, drop me a comment. All that stuff's greatly appreciated. I appreciate y'all's support. All right, let's get to it. So we'll start with this 3rd and 4 on the first drive of the game. Trubisky's in shotgun. We get a 3-by-1 formation. Really highlighting this one just to show a couple things. The Patriots are actually going to show pressure at the line of scrimmage, but then drop 8 guys into coverage. This was actually something that they did quite a bit in this game. I want to say there was about 7 or 8 snaps total where they did this, and really it was just to take away a lot of the quick throws in the quick passing game, to drop additional guys kind of in the underneath zones of coverage. On this play, the Steelers are running a mesh concept. You see the 2 crossers, Johnson and Claypool, trying to get a rub, and this is a good man beater. But you'll see the additional rushers drop under, and they do a good job passing off the crossing route, which kind of muddies up Trubisky's read. He does a good job coming off of the initial read, working Freiermuth kind of on this out or sail route. And he hits him with a decent ball on the run. Trubisky, as you will notice really throughout the video, he prefers to almost throw without his feet set for better or worse. But this is a ball that at least gives his tight end a chance at this one. It's not necessarily an easy catch, and this is definitely a matchup to keep an eye on because it's going to be him and Kyle Duggar once again. Duggar's a really good player who they trust to take away tight ends. And you'll see, this is a decent ball. Hits him in the hands. It's not an easy catch when you're running full speed like that. But, again, just kind of shows you some of the different coverages that they were trying to deploy against Trubisky and the Steelers offense. All right, so this is another 2nd and 10. The Steelers going to be running this kind of shovel pass, but it actually ends up being kind of clogged a little bit, so Trubisky ends up using his legs just in terms of things that, he can do that Pickett can do as well, just move really well with his legs. I think he's a little bit better. They're similar athletes. I think he's a little bit better runner and a little bit more confident, taking off and using his legs in the open field. This was something that he did pretty well in Chicago. So when things aren't there, he has no problem kind of going into creation mode. The results of those plays sometimes aren't necessarily the greatest when he looks to actually throw the ball. But when he does make a decision, be decisive, and pull the ball down, he can make some plays with his legs, which is definitely an element that the Pats will, be prepared for. All right, so here's a 1st and 10 play. Trubisky's in the gun, little 3-by-1 formation. They're trying to run. This is kind of the spear concept. It's kind of the way that I would call it, or Yankee, if that's what you call it in your offense or whatever. But really, you're just going to get 2 deep crossing routes and then a skinny post at the bottom of the screen. I wanted to put this on here just because I think it shows some of the stuff that the Pats do really well on defense. That's carried over to this year as well. They just do a really good job passing off routes just throughout each other's zones. So when they do play cover 3, things like that, they're very aware of crossers, and they make it difficult to kind of hit you over the middle. You'll see, I think he really wants Claypool here on this crossing route, but this free safety, I should say, rolled over to the numbers on the 50-yard line. Is kind of baiting him into this ill-advised throw. And you'll also see the top-down safety kind of nailing down on that as well. George Pickens does end up getting open finally later in the play on the skinny post. You could probably lay this ball out to him and take a shot. But by that time, he's wanting to check the ball down to Freiermuth. It's 1st and 10. They end up getting a 7-yard completion, so no harm, no foul there. Just another thing kind of with the Pickens matchup. He wasn't super involved in this game overall, and Trubisky's targeted Johnson a lot more when he's been in the game. But the Pats corner is one of the reasons why they went out and got Christian Gonzalez is because they're small. So J.C. Jackson, Jonathan Jones, those guys are kind of small. So it wouldn't surprise me if they wanted to take some shots early on to try to see if they could take advantage of, Pickens' size and speed mismatch. All right, so this is a tough one for multiple reasons, but this is the first quarter turnover, the interception that he threw last year. This is off the drift swirl concept. It's a Kyle Shanahan staple. If you're interested in this play, like a further kind of detailed explanation, you can actually go on my channel. I did a video on this concept over the summer. But really what we're going to get here is we're going to get this jet motion. And then Najee Harris is running kind of like a split zone look. They're going to kind of move the tight end, in this case Zach Gentry, over to the other side of the formation. And really this is just a quick throw, hits the back of his foot, and throws it. Really, it's unfortunate because pre-snap, the Patriots are showing single high, which is ideally what you want to run this concept against. But as the play kind of unfolds here pre-snap, you'll see another familiar sight. They're pressing Johnson on the backside and being really aggressive and physical with him. And they rotate back to kind of more of a two-safety post-snap shell. And this changes the look for Trubisky. And, this is part of the issue, I think, with his game a little bit, is like he has a difficult time processing. Similar to Pickett, honestly, when the picture changes post-snap and you force him off of, like, if you can force him off of his first read, sometimes bad things will happen. But Trubisky is not as good of a decision maker and will put the ball in harm's way. So right here, they're going to rotate into cover two. Well, basically what we got at the top of the screen at this point is slant flat. And slant flat or dragging is not a good concept for cover two. And it allows this middle linebacker right here, he just doesn't really fall for the play fake, gets into the passing window, tips the ball, they come away with an interception. So usually on this concept, what you want to do is you want to work the drift route to Johnson, and then if that's not there, you'll work kind of this swirl or 7-stop at the bottom of the screen to Claypool. Now that's not there either, so this really just needs to get checked down to one of the receivers, and you just live to fight another day. But if you're looking for something that Trubisky really can't do on Sunday night, it's turn the football over. So that's something that you'll definitely have to watch out for. All right, so second and long here after an unsuccessful run. You'll see a familiar look here with the Patriots showing single high with a lot of guys to the line of scrimmage. Motion Freiermuth. This ends up being a zone coverage look. This is really interesting to me because really one of the similarities between Pickett and Trubisky is really how they want to attack defenses. They both prefer to throw to the sidelines and kind of attack guys along the sideline with comebacks, hitches, go balls, things like that. And Johnson here is just going to run like a stop or a curl, little hinge, come back, and this is a really good throw, accurate to move the chains. One thing I'll just kind of note is, like, just watch Trubisky's footwork here. Anytime he's throwing to the left, now there's a little bit of pressure, but I wouldn't say anything significant. But anytime he throws to his left, he throws off his back foot. So I think that sometimes hurts his accuracy or consistency as a passer just because his lower body mechanics oftentimes get him in trouble. And I'll kind of show you guys some other examples where it kind of hurts him, his footwork being off. But this is a really good throw to the sideline. He makes a couple of these really nice throws that show off his arm throughout this. So, yeah, one of the common things I feel like I've been asked a lot on social media is, like, what the differences will be with Trubisky in the offense and with Pickett. And obviously the scheme in itself isn't going to change very much. It's really difficult to do that from, starter to backup. This is one of the really unique examples. I talked about how they both prefer to kind of work on the sideline. This is a really nice high-low right here from Freiermuth. It's really just like a spot and a dig route right behind it. Trubisky, wants to take the low, and that's something that kind of bugged me a little bit in his couple starts last year with the Steelers, was that there was just like a not much of a willingness to hang on to the football and kind of progress beyond his first read. But you can see Claypool kind of wrapping around here, and even pre-snap, you can kind of see that he is getting a cornerback with outside leverage, and he's running an in-breaker. Now, if you get this kind of like a cover one hole where you have a hole defender, that's not going to be open. That'll be taken away. But you can see the Patriots actually don't have a guy in the middle of the field, so that comes wide open. And then you see the defensive back able to close quickly on Freiermuth and get there and break up the throw. So just kind of another, I feel like similarity between the two quarterbacks. So that incompletion turns, second long into third and long right here. Really nice job by Mitch, just using his legs, getting out of the pocket and making an accurate throw on the run. Both Pickett and Trubisky throw really well on the run, especially moving to their left. Just right here, Johnson's running kind of deep out, does a good job, using some tempos and manipulating the defender, getting him to open up before breaking back outside. So really nice play right there. Again, you're getting some type of zone coverage, kind of a zone match look from the Patriots. He does a good job, just that edge defender up at the top of the screen gets really wide and upfield, and he has a really nice lane to kind of escape the pocket. And again, he's just really comfortable throwing on the run. So I think it does benefit you when you have a backup that's like at least sort of mobile to kind of extend plays with their legs, because it makes it easy because, those guys don't get a ton of reps. So some of the timing aspects of the offense can oftentimes be off. So when you have a guy that can do a little bit of this and create on his own, it makes it a little bit easier to consistently move the football. All right, so right here, they pick up a penalty as soon as they get in the red zone. So it's like 1st and 15, I think, on this play. This kind of goes back to what I was talking about just with the footwork aspect and how his footwork just is really wonky. More often than not, you'll see him kind of dovetail this, drop a little bit to his left, almost as if, he's getting some type of like overload or kind of weak pressure to the right side of his face. I'm not really sure why he does this. But you see how it actually makes him late to this throw. So they had this bunch look up at the top of the screen. Claypool's going to be running this kind of option to where, he just kind of sits down at the 18-yard line or so. But you can actually see, like when he's actually coming open right here, like the ball needs to be out right here, and he's still taking steps to his left. He takes 3 full steps. And what that does is it just allows that flat defender to kind of get space and close on that route and get a hand on the football. So it's just sometimes with him, his footwork and the way that he constructs his lower body makes it a lot more difficult to create and stay on time with some of these quick game throws, because he'll move around when he doesn't need to. He'll throw off his back foot, and I think that sometimes that just gets him in trouble. On 2nd down, this is actually a concept that I haven't really seen as much this year. You're going to get kind of this seam and hook up at the top, and then you're going to get a levels concept to the bottom, just 2 end breakers, kind of a basic, and then a dig route. Trubisky does a good job, laying this one right on the numbers for Claypool, who makes a really good move off the route, does a good job getting this cornerback turned around. That's Jalen Mills. He'll play a little bit tomorrow, but I've always thought that he was a guy that you can kind of get after a little bit in coverage. But a nice job throttling down against zone right there. Good job by Mitch to get them into a 3rd and manageable situation. And then we got, a 3rd and, 4. And this is a really tough one for me to kind of go through, and definitely one of the more frustrating moments of the game. And with Mitch as a starter last year, one of the big things was, they just didn't score enough points. And that's really been a theme for the Steelers offense in general. But up at the top of the screen, Johnson's going to kind of run this clear out, kind of fade up at the top as the number 1. And then you're going to get this kind of quick out route, kind of a speed out from Claypool. And we get a brutal turn down. Mitch not only turns it down, but he takes a sack. And this is wide open. These are the types of plays that, in order to play quarterback at this level really consistently, you got to be able to make these types of throws. And, you again see it with the footwork. He kind of almost runs himself into pressure right here. He does get a blitz, kind of what I was talking about with that weak blitz. But Harris is going to come in. He's going to be able to pick that guy up. Like, he's not hot. They have enough protectors in protection. He's just got to make this throw. And you see his eyes kind of start to drop a little bit and go into creation mode. Not necessarily the best blitz pick up there from Harris. But overall, that ball has to be out. They're bringing pressure. It is a blitz. It does need to come out. I'm just not really sure why he turns this down, because this is about as open as it's going to get. You're going to get a little bit of a rub if this slot corner wasn't playing so far off, but he's playing crazy off. I mean, really, as long as this ball isn't behind Claypool, he scores fairly easily. So just kind of a difficult one to stomach when you watch the film. Claypool up there, you see that he's pretty frustrated he doesn't get the ball there. But there were chances. They didn't put up a lot of points in this matchup last year, but there were chances to. It's kind of funny they came back to the same kind of concept or same idea on the very next drive, probably based on what they saw from the sideline, just the space that they were getting in the slot, and just some of the route concepts that were working. They're going to get a clear out there from Johnson as the number 1 receiver. He's going to be running kind of a deep out route. He sets that up really beautifully, but Claypool does a good job attacking the leverage and then just beating the slot corner to the sideline there. So nice job by Mitch here, just playing more on schedule and understanding that the ball has to come out, and he delivers an accurate pass right here. Mitch is a guy that when you get him in rhythm and settle him down a little bit to where he's more willing to play in structure, he looks a lot more, like what you want in an NFL quarterback, just because the tools, the arms there, and, the athleticism is certainly there. It's just a matter of getting him to play more consistent football. The Steelers found themselves into a few too many of these 3rd and long situations. This is 3rd and 7 right here. Again, we're getting another drop 8 look from the Patriots. They're dropping 2 underneath defenders, playing what I think is probably like cover 3 match. But right here, Trubisky's going to go to the over route against Freiermuth against Duggar once again. They tried to run several of these just without very much success. I'll kind of show you guys this from the back angle. Formation into empty. This isn't a terrible decision by any means. He's definitely open. I just think he misses this just a little bit inside. Kind of show y'all. I think Duggar is able to get a little bit into the vision maybe of Freiermuth. But instead of this ball kind of being like that ball's on his face mask, maybe he leads him a little bit. But we saw the last time he led him, he wasn't able to connect there. So just kind of some of these kind of unfortunate breaks. That's not a bad pass by any means, but I think he could have put it out a little bit more in front of him so he didn't have to slow down. But again, just too many 3rd and long situations, and against this Patriots defense with Belichick and some of the way that they can disguise some of their coverages, and they've got a lot of talented players. You just don't want to get yourself in too many of these situations, on Thursday night. We talked about, kind of mentioned some of just the arm talent that Trubisky has. Here's a really beautiful example just in terms of some of the windows that he can access. They're going to get another post-snap rotation here to kind of a Tampa 2 look. And the cornerback does in my opinion, not a great job in here actually getting a reroute. He ends up allowing Pickens to get kind of a free release up the middle. Pickens is going to do a good job of getting back outside to be able to stay away from that safety that's rotating over. But this is an absolute dime for Mitch. Right over the shoulder. Nice job by Pickens to get both feet in bounds. Just a beautiful catch. I mean, we've seen him make those kind of toe-tapping grabs right there. But, these honey hole shots is what a lot of people call them. These are not easy throws to make by any stretch of the imagination. But, Mitch has the arm strength, and he has the confidence. One of the things I've always said about him, just from watching him in his time in Chicago, is like there's almost like a borderline irrational confidence in his arm. And, sometimes it pays off. Like right here, this is a good decision. But, these are the type of windows that he can hit. Because he does have a little bit more arm strength than a guy like Pickett does to be able to access this type of throw. So really nice throw there, probably one of his best of the game. So if you're not really familiar with the Patriots defense and just kind of how it works, some of the things that they will do, they'll do this thing called one double. So basically it's just cover one, but instead of having a whole player, they'll dedicate the whole player to doubling a specific receiver. So especially if they get a tight end, or if they get some type of slot receiver that they're really worried about, they'll play kind of a bracket coverage on him and play in and out. But it's kind of funny. They chose to do this kind of one double coverage a couple times against Claypool, who, can't even get a helmet these days in the NFL. He's on Miami, but they're not really even playing him. So Belichick, talked really glowingly about him last year in the press conference. It's kind of funny how everything has just kind of unwinded here. But, Johnson does a good job beating. I think this is Jalen Mills down at the bottom of the screen. He's playing heavy inside, and really they're just trying to take away that quick slant from the backside 3-by-1. Mitch just kind of misses this a little bit. It's just a little bit too far out of bounds. That's definitely a tough throw to make. But definitely one that he's capable of. And, just with the way that the Pats stop the run, they're going to have to make some of these plays down the field. They're going to have to take some of these go ball shots. They're going to have to make some of these tough catches on the sideline because they're not going to be able to grind this Patriots team out to where they're just going to run the ball all over them. They've only allowed a 100-yard rusher, I think, once, or 100 yards total from the team once since week 5. So this is a team that you're going to have to beat through the air and take some chances down the field. So this one, they're at midfield, right before the half. They're trying to go down and get a field goal. Now, I can't really say for sure if this is one of those situations where, he wants to take a bigger shot because he was trying to get him in field goal range or not. But this is a kind of an unfortunate turn out, just the way that it kind of turns out. We're going to get the same exact thing. Pickens is going to run this kind of clear out. We're going to get this speed out from the bottom of the field with Freiermuth. I'm not sure if he actually ever ends up seeing him, but you see the defenders actually collide here. This is what I was kind of talking about. Sometimes you can get this rub just depending on how, the corners end up playing this. But, more than anything here, you don't want to take a sack. And that's really the big thing for me. It's just you want to make sure you at least get rid of the ball. Once this thing kind of goes into creation mode, he drops his eyes a little bit and he doesn't see Johnson, who then turns upfield. Just toss this ball out of bounds. Like, it's not that big of a deal. You live to fight another day. At this point, if you throw it out of bounds early enough, you probably have like 6 seconds and whatever. Maybe you can run one more play to try to get in field goal range. But taking a sack there is just it's just not smart football. So to open up the second half, they're going to be running this kind of play action concept, kind of the same one that they ran earlier in the game, that kind of spear, the double crossers with the post. This is the kind of stuff, though, that I don't mind seeing at all from Trubisky. Usually you want to kind of run these kind of deep over routes and stuff against cover 3, especially when you're under center like this and you're more likely to get single high. But they actually end up getting, a 2-high safety shell. They're going to get Tampa. So they do a good job taking away these crossers. Like I said, that's one of the things that the Patriots have done really well over the years, is just passing off these routes in zone coverage. And nothing's open really down the field. So it's perfectly fine to just check this ball down to Harris. They end up getting a really nice gain out of it. And, tomorrow night, that's definitely something that I want to see him do. Just be more comfortable, taking the easy route. Not everything has to be pushed down the field. He's talked about he wants to be aggressive, which is fine. There's a time and a place to do that. But there's nothing wrong with checking the ball down, too, and just trying to keep the offense on schedule. So you're seeing a lot of 3-by-1 formations during the course of this game. And, again, we'll see, Trubisky wanting to work the one-on-one, especially to Johnson. These two, have some sort of connection. I think you saw that a little bit once he got inserted into the game last week. Just going to hit this kind of stop route. Good timing, good anticipation. You see his arms start to separate, as Johnson's coming out of his break. Deontay ends up coming back to the football. You get a nice play and close to another first down. This game was a tough one to watch, just really because it kind of brought back some just PTSD from Matt Canada, some of the things that I would constantly feel like I would see on a weekly basis just with his offense. But, second half drive here, another 3-by-1 formation. This is the same play that we've seen I don't know how many times now just on this video. This is at least 3 or 4. But you're going to get these double crossers over the middle of the field. They do get the single high, but, just in terms of, we talked about like the offense just lacking details just over the past couple of years. This is a good example of that. So the two inside receivers, Claypool and Johnson in this case, aren't really on the same page. They almost run into each other. And then when that happens, Trubisky ends up checking the ball down. Now, I think you could probably make the argument that he can be a little bit more patient in the pocket right here. You see that he's reading the crossers to try to see which one of these guys is going to come open. And Johnson is going to end up breaking open. It just kind of looks a little wonky once that plays out. But he's a little too quick, in my opinion, on 3rd and long to kind of move off of this. Just because this is one of those situations where, you can be a little patient. Like, the pocket's perfectly fine right now. You've got enough guys in protection. You don't need to check this ball down because, Jabril Peppers right here, number 3, he's playing some really good ball. But, like, when you get these zone defenders right here, these kind of underneath defenders with the vision on the quarterback, and you go to check the ball down, we've seen that so many times this year where you're putting the running back in a near impossible situation because they're going to be getting the ball with guys flying at them 100 miles an hour. So there's a time to be patient, and then there's a time to be quick about checking the ball down. I think that's one of those times where you probably want to see him be a little bit more patient. They ended up getting a nice play, explosive off a jet sweep, end around kind of right before this. But this is another example of, Trubisky just checking the ball down, letting Harris do some work after the catch. It's kind of unfortunate because I don't know if Najee's going to be able to go. He's missed practice this week with a knee injury, short week, so you never really know. I mean, I think he did finish the game last week, so I'm not really sure what all that's about. But just another example of, him checking the ball down, let the running backs do the work. Again, I think you live with some of this stuff and just check some check downs and things like that. If it takes him out of, making some poor decisions down the field, just take care of the football. Because this is a game like New England's not going to be able to, I don't think, put up a ton of points on the Steelers defense in general, unless they, the Steelers offense gives away the ball with 2-3 turnovers or something like that. This is definitely something that I anticipate seeing tomorrow night, just in terms of if they can get Deontay Johnson one-on-one against these corners, I think that they're going to be able to, really exploit some things. Jalen Mills is down here at the bottom of the screen, but, J.C. Jackson, Jonathan Jones, I think you still trust Deontay Johnson in those type of matchups. New England's just playing kind of a quarters coverage right here, just kind of bailing out. Johnson does a good job selling this vertically and then breaking it off towards the sideline. Trubisky hits him in stride for a nice play and a first down. Just in terms of like whenever they were getting these 3-by-1 formations, Trubisky was pretty much laser focused on number 18, and I can't really blame him for that. You get those one-on-ones with your best receiver, the guy you trust the most. Definitely a good way, again, to just keep him on schedule and keep him, in the flow of the game, and just keep using number 18 to, find those matchups. This is a really nice adjustment just for the Steelers because Kyle Duggar, the safety that had been traveling with Pat Freiermuth, ended up getting hurt in this game and didn't return. So one of the things that they did, they split Freiermuth out right here as the backside 3-by-1 X and just had him run a quick little slant flat up to the top of the screen. Really nice ball from Mitch. Touchdown, get Freiermuth involved. Freiermuth had that career game against the Browns 2 weeks ago, and then really last week against the Cardinals, he was really quiet once again. So his involvement in the offense has been really inconsistent this year. But getting him involved, getting him as a factor, I think is something that they're going to want to do. Even if Duggar's on him, I don't think you can just completely, leave him out of the game plan. Nice throw by Mitch here. Again, we want to see more of these in breakers over the middle of the field. Nice throw, converting the red zone. That's something that the Steelers have struggled with in recent weeks. That's definitely something that they have to improve on, especially, without Pickett going forward over the last month of the season. Really got to get those red zone touchdown numbers up right now. That touchdown actually brings the Steelers within 5, so they end up having to go for 2 right here. They get a man coverage look from the Patriots. Again, this is just a spot where he trusts Deontay Johnson. This is one of those throws that I was talking about with just his arm talent that will show up. He will make some jaw-dropping throws, just the way that he can spin it. Even though I think his footwork right here is, again, it's really wonky. If you just look at his base, doesn't really even step into this throw. He locks out the front foot and kind of throws us almost like sidearm. But this is a dime. I mean, this throw was one of the best I feel like that he's made in a Steelers uniform. That's really good coverage. Johnson out there is just running kind of a fade comeback, so he's going to try to sell the fade route. But as he's doing this, the cornerback does a good job getting his eyes back and looking for the fade. So he actually knows the comeback's coming because Trubisky's throwing this with so much anticipation that, he's already got vision back to the quarterback. This is a really good job making the catch by Johnson just in terms of the back shoulder. But, man, this is the kind of stuff, man. There will be a couple plays probably that he'll make on Thursday that will make you squint and you'll see an NFL starter and you'll wonder why things didn't work out for him even though he was a top pick. But, if he can just make a couple of these plays and keep avoiding turning the football over, look at the base that he's throwing with right now. I think this makes things so much more difficult when you throw like this consistently with your lower body. But sometimes, he's good enough to make it work. And that's an excellent throw, a dime. You really want to throw this obviously away from the defender, but you're trying to put this almost on the white right there. And an awesome play by Johnson to get the 2-point conversion. Awesome. Just in terms of one thing that I'm a little bit worried about, just in terms of going into Thursday night game, I'm not really sure if Trubisky and Pickens have this really good relationship or chemistry. I shouldn't say relationship like it's a personal thing, but just on-field chemistry necessarily. Because just when he was in the game last year or the times that he's came in, I really don't feel like they've really been on the same page a couple times. Just right here, you're getting a little fade ball. You can tell that this is, a back shoulder. Pickens doesn't necessarily win over the top with speed. Trubisky's throwing this back shoulder, but this is really one of the areas where, Pickett and Pickens have been just really on fire over the past, 2 years. Honestly, it's been one of the more productive facets of the Steelers offense has been these back shoulder balls. But, when you don't have the capability of completing these, I mean, this thing is not even remotely close. He doesn't have a shot at this. But, one of the areas, like I said, that I think they can potentially look at trying to exploit the Patriots on the outside is just getting Pickens using his size up against some of these smaller corners for the Pats. But, I'm just not sure if the chemistry is where it needs to be for them to really have that big game Just a tough one because New England ends up, with a really good play call here. The Steelers are going to formation to empty, and then they're going to show a blitz and make Trubisky think that he's hot, but he's actually not. So this is still cover zero because there's no deep safety in the middle of the field. But you'll see they have 6 guys at the line of scrimmage. Once these additional rushers at the top of the screen kind of come, Moore has to kind of clamp down on the most dangerous guy. There's going to be a free rusher off of the edge. So Trubisky assumes that he's hot. So they do a good job of manipulating the pass protection rules to get a free runner to force the ball out of his hands. But you actually see they actually drop several players out into the middle of the field. So just a really unfortunate event there. Of course, the ball comes out super quick, and then there's 2 Patriots defenders that are able to kind of come up and corral Harris. These last couple drives for the Steelers offense in this one were just really super unfortunate the way that they unfolded. This was another 3 and out, trying to go, tie the game. And I kind of remember how this game unfolded just with how many checkdowns we saw, and they weren't able to really push the ball down the field. There was a lot of frustration on social media, but some of that was, Trubisky maybe not being aggressive enough, but I also think like some of these play calls necessarily just aren't really good answers for the coverage that they were seeing. This is another Tampa kind of look. They get mesh right here, and you see Trubisky quickly checks this thing down because there's not really anything that's going to be open up against this look based on what they have called. Checks it down to Harris. Harris does a good job just trying to get what he can, but, once you got 3-4 Patriots to the ball, there's not really a ton that they're going to be able to do. And then really the last play of the game really comes back to, what are you trying to accomplish and what player are you trying to get the ball to? This is 3rd and 2. There's 7 minutes left. The Steelers never touched the ball again, which is something that was really frustrating. They had the muff punt late. The Patriots kind of really possessed the ball down the stretch. In this second half, really, there wasn't as much to kind of go over. But we get the exact same play call on the very next play. We're going to get this kind of mesh rub with Johnson on the shallow cross. In my opinion, in these situations, especially if you're anticipating man coverage, that's where the ball needs to go. Now, I don't know what the progression is here. Really, this play call is just called like mesh rail. If you've ever played like Madden or NCAA football, this is what they call it. There's a lot of college teams that run it, air raidy teams that run it. They end up throwing the rail route, kind of wheel up the sideline of Najee Harris. He wants the flag. The ball's underthrown. He does try to make an attempt to come back for it. But, again, I think that this is just another example a little bit, too, just with the footwork aspect. I just think it makes it a lot more difficult on himself because right here you see he kind of dovetailed to the right. Well, the problem is, just with the way that the right tackle's setting, he almost brings himself to pressure. And what that does is he kind of throws this off his back foot. Like you see him get real toesy and almost he shoots like a fadeaway right here. Like he's like, shooting like some type of like Kobe, like 18-footer. Off his back foot, and I do think that it sacrifices a little bit of his accuracy. So instead of trying to put this ball over the right shoulder of Harris and leading him up the field towards the sideline, he kind of leaves it inside to where he's got to try to go up and like moss a defender. So just really, a curious thing right there. If it's me in these situations, I'm always going to say try to get the ball to your best player. So in these situations, if they get these man coverage looks, I want the ball going to, 18, 14, especially against these, Patriots corners. I think they've got a little bit of an advantage there. And Harris hasn't been nearly as involved in the receiving game, this year. But, not the best performance from Trubisky. He didn't play extremely well, obviously, before he was benched early last season. But I do think that you see some flashes just with the arm, his mobility, those things. I mean, those things haven't gone away. He's still got the necessary tools that he needs to be successful, at least in terms of being like a spot starter or a backup, to get you through a game. The thing that I think that you'll see is he's going to be a lot more volatile. You'll probably see, like I said, 1 or 2 of those like jaw-dropping throws that he's going to make. He might be a little bit more aggressive down the field. We'll see because it did seem like, he was more aggressive during certain spurts, but just not overly aggressive consistently. But he's also probably going to be more volatile in a bad way too. Like he's probably gonna make a bad decision or two every now and then. You'll see him kind of force some checkdowns, do some different things like that. But big thing is, especially on Thursday, just take care of the football. A short week, getting thrusted into the starting lineup, take care of the ball, and then kind of move on and get ready for the Colts game on Saturday. So get an extended break there, more time to put in, exactly what he wants to run, more time with the game plan, things like that. I appreciate you guys watching the video. Appreciate y'all, sticking with me through the channel. Been working my way through some sickness, but if you would, just make sure, again, leave a like, leave a comment. Make sure you sub to the channel, turn on notifications, all that stuff. And I will check you guys tomorrow. Peace.